Well, good afternoon, guys. On this May 2nd, I'm going to be hiking to that burn, the Sandhurst Fire, which happened last July in 2024, to see how the trees are recovering. Now, it might be hard to see from here, but pretty much everywhere that was burned has all this shimmery white underneath it. And I don't know what's causing it, but I'm very interested to find out. So let's get going and see what else we can find today. Now, as we actually hike to the burn area, we got some pretty classic Wasatch Foothill plants here. We got the Gambel Oak, Quercus gambelii, growing rather low here. Maybe they're just all young trees, but they'll get taller eventually, I think. As well as some Balsamorhiza sagittata. It's known as the Arrowleaf Balsamroot. Most common members of Asteraceae in the foothills, when it blooms to late April, early May. And what else? Got some Crepises that are not yet in bloom. We'll see what those are in a second. And a few other plants. We'll definitely talk about them more as we go. Haven't seen any Whitetop and Toxicoscordion, the northern mule's ear yet, and sort of Balsamorhiza sagittata's partner in crime. But that typically grows in more shaded areas, so maybe we'll see some on the way back that way. But yeah, let's continue on. Now here we have an example of an unburnt Gambel Oak forest this time of year. You can see you got some trees that are just starting to leaf out. And in the understory, quite a lot of grass. Well, at least normal in this area. This might not be a very intact forest. In a more natural forest, I think you might have a lot more wildflowers and shrubs in the understory. But here it's a lot of grass. And also there's quite a lot of Alyssum desertorum on the ground. Remember, Brassicaceae that is not native. That is the stuff that is clearly not grass. That's right there. Kind of unpleasant plant, I think. Very common, like way too abundant. Yet there's no getting rid of it. So, not the worst invasive species in the world, but it's just so common that surely it is competing with other plants that are native or could be native. But yeah, you keep this in mind when I go to find the burnt forest. Well, now that I'm here, it seems my worst fear has been confirmed. But the plants growing in the shade of these burnt Gambel Oaks would be invasive. This is all Lepidium draba, also known as Whitetop. Should be pretty easy to know why it has that common name. Either way, it's a member of the family Brassicaceae that I believe is native to Europe, but has gone absolutely out of control in this area. And although not all the forest is covered by it, it's quite common and dense here. So I'm not that happy to see that. Now the upside is that I think as the new trees develop, they should overtop them and basically, shade them out and they'll go away. But it's very unpleasant to see right now. Also unpleasant is seeing that all these new shoots I was hopeful for have not seemed to come into leaf yet. They might not even be dead, though I'll need to take a closer look to know that for sure. Okay, we're just taking some time to leaf out. These are new buds that are looking pretty healthy to me. So we should see them grow up and leaf out within the month, I think. But for now, this is not such a great sign. We do have some other natives growing here, though. It's another species of Crepis growing in this area. Oh man, there's a lot of Erodium cicatorium and that Alyssum desertorum as well. That is not so pleasant to see, but this Crepis is a good thing to see. Oh crap, is that Cheatgrass? Yeah, there's some cheat as well. That's Bromus tectorum. Again, I think that might be shaded out eventually, but that is really bad to see here. Although this is an unforested clearing, so I guess it's not representative of what is growing underneath the Gambel Oak forest previously. Okay, here we go. There's one other plant growing around which I'm going to have to figure out. It's this one. I'm not sure what it is. I don't want to do seek again, considering how badly it's led me astray. But and its flowers. It has 5 petals. It might be a member of Boraginaceae, but I don't know for sure. It's a little hard to tell. It is quite common on the slope, so I'm going to have to look that one up. I wonder what the effect of having all the standing deadwood will be in the future, because for right now, it doesn't seem to mean much, but I wonder if it'll provide habitat for any animals, or maybe for some fungi that wanted to, rot it and bring it back to the earth. But until that happens, it's impossible to know. Okay, here's a Galium aparine, or aparine. At least I think that's what species it is. This one is questionably native, so I'll count that as a good thing, considering I got no clue what this is, and it likely could be non-native. Let me figure that out right now. Okay, it looks like this is a plant known as corn Gromwell, also known as Buglossoides arvensis scientifically. So, not native. It's a native to Europe and Asia, quite widespread here, but not North America. So I go figure, I guess. Here's a Gambel Oak shoot starting to leaf out again, originally attached, of course, to this stem. I mean, it still is a part of this plant. It's just that it's going to eventually form a new tree or a thicket of trees. That'll be an interesting phase to observe when it finally happens. Oh, it looks like we got a few new trees actually coming up here. Some must have been grown from acorns. You can see they are already mostly leafed out. They probably want to get a nice good start on the year and just, start growing as quick as they can. So that's a positive sign. But predominantly what we see here is non-native plants, unfortunately. So that Balsamorhiza sagittata in the background, which is good. But otherwise, not a lot of great news here, I gotta be honest. As I said, it will eventually be overtopped by the Gambel Oak and probably die out here, but it's gonna take a while and it's gonna be a big reservoir for invasive plants at that time. Okay, this one actually is native. This is Hydrophyllum capitatum, or a Ballhead Waterleaf. Don't actually call it that, that's stupid. But that's what it is, Hydrophyllum capitatum, a native plant, as I said. So that's a good one to see, a member of Boraginaceae, formerly Hydrophyllaceae, back when that was an independent family, or considered to be as such. It never was technically, but we eventually realized that actually was a part of the family Boraginaceae. And here's another good native you can see here, a really fun one because it's so toxic. This is Toxicoscordion, paniculatum, so known as foothill death camas. A member of Melanthiaceae, I forgot which family it is. It is quite toxic, and I don't want to touch it even because of that. So I'm not going to try and eat it. It's got a rather triangular stem when it starts to come up, so keep that in mind if you see something like this. But that's what it is. It's as close as I can get to the flowers. Very cool guy, but I think it's time to go back. I guess before I go, I should explore one of these better patches of Gambel Oak that isn't quite so invaded. Ooh, we got a lot of the Toxicoscordion paniculatum, but more importantly, look at the undergrowth here. It's all entirely the Galium aparine and new Gambel Oak, which is great to see. Once again, we can see the ones growing independently are already leafed out, while the ones growing near trees have less of a head start. I think in this area they are just starting to grow again. They're more leafed out than the other ones because this area has more direct sunlight. But I don't really know for sure what's going on. Look at that, a giant Erodium circitarium. That's nasty. As I can pull it out. Okay, just right here I found a couple other native species that I don't think I've talked about, or at least not in a while. So let's jump right into it. This obvious member of the carrot family, Apiaceae, I'm pretty sure is Lomatium tritornatum, or veterinate biscuitroot. Don't call it that. Don't ever call Lomatium's biscuitroot. No one does that anymore, but this is what its leaves look like. See, they are sort of ternate at several places, like right there, and then again on the joints. It's a very cool looking kind of Lomatium. That's quite tall. Doesn't seem to have very much in the way of basal leaves, which is also very interesting compared to, say, Lomatium dissectum, which I've also seen around here. And you see it's fairly common out here. All that little yellow growing in the grass is Lomatium tritornatum, I think. No, number one, that's very cool to me, and I don't see very often outside of this area, is this guy, which I think is Lithospermum rhodorale. It's a native species of a plant called puccoon commonly. It's a member of Boraginaceae, which its flowers just might give away. Almost look like those of a Cretantha. I'm pretty sure that's what this is at least. It sure looks like that kind of plant to me, but I don't know entirely for sure. But I'm going to say like 70% sure. think they're pretty nice and hardy as well and grow well in somewhat disturbed habitats, although maybe not, because again, I don't see it too often elsewhere. But this is definitely a very disturbed habitat, no doubt. And finally, on the species of Astragalus I may have accidentally talked about without knowing it in the past, I think this is Astragalus cibarius, a native species that is quite common in this area. Don't ask me how I know, it's mostly just an assumption based on the fact that I see an Astragalus that looks like this in a previous video and said, I don't know what it is. And someone in the comments said that it was Astragalus cibarius, so I'm not totally sure, but that is my guess. The pods also do look like this in that plant, sort of hairless, kind of reddish like that. So there you go. I'll have to go review what actually makes that plant look the way it does and if it really looks like this. But that is my guess for now. So let's carry on. Now just look at that. Have you ever seen a nicer field of Balsamorhiza sagittata before? So many of them, all in bloom. All Great Basin relatives of the sunflower. Amazing. And this is them up close, if you guys have forgotten. Probably smell a little bit like chocolate, which they kind of do in a weird way. Like very vaguely of chocolate. A very dark one at that, I would say. Does it get better than this? Okay, I guess it does, but this is pretty nice. For the Wasatch Foothills, at least. Now, I'm not sure you can see this, but there's very visibly a line that cuts through the land right there. And I don't know what's causing it. Maybe it's related to fire control. But surely you guys see it right in the center. About there, going up to the control tower. It certainly isn't a road, so I really am curious what it could be. This might be about where I wrap up next, so thanks for watching, guys, and see you next time.